for? I'd like to welcome everybody to the Lincolnville Board of Selectmen's meeting at the Lincolnville Town Office, October 22nd, 2018. It's 6 p.m. Thank everybody for coming out. We're minus 1 leader tonight, previous engagement. Before we get going, Josh, could you read the quote?
Sure. Each success only buys an admission ticket to a more difficult problem. Henry Kissinger.
Thank you very much. Moving right along, the first item on the agenda is Citizens Forum. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to come to the podium and identify yourself, talk about what you need to.
I am the audience.
If you would like to address the town or the selectmen, please come to the podium and introduce yourself, and thank you for coming.
All right, I'm cold. I don't need that. My name's Sharon Corbett. I am here with, I don't know, a complaint, an irritation. I don't know how many of you are on the Lincolnville Bulletin Board, or if you see what goes on that board. Week and a half, 2 weeks ago, there was a cat at Tanglewood, and the woman wrote that she's allergic to cats, so she couldn't bring it in. But there was a cat that showed up at her garage, and it just laid there in front of her garage, she said, for a while. Cat next door came over and tried to taunt it, and it wouldn't defend itself. She said, I think it's sick. Could somebody come and get it? So she had called the ACO, and I guess the girl was in the emergency room with allergies. And she said, I'll be there tomorrow. Well, you know, that's not helping the cat. So she got back on the bulletin board and asked if anybody could come and do something with this cat. So I know on the weekends you can only go to Warren with an emergency pet problem. So I was going to get my cat carrier and go get the cat and bring it to Warren. So I called her and I said, how's the kitty? And she said, well, I just went out to put towels around it and put it in a box, and it had stopped breathing. So she called the ACO again and said, you know, I need to have the body picked up. The ACO said, I have no means of disposing of the body. Now, in my book, that's just unacceptable. That's unacceptable. I think part of the mission, I'm not sure, of the ACO is the community health. Now, if that animal died of rabies or something, I think something, you know, we should know about it. In fact, I looked into it. The state will, for free, test an animal for rabies. So we don't have a question of a cost or anything. I've got a lot of questions about animals. I think they're not getting a fair shake. I think I wanted to know also what happens with the dog tag money, because that's animal money, and I think, you know, it ought to be saved for the animals. I was going to get Carolyn Sen, she's a big animal person here, to come tonight, but I didn't call her. I know there's a lot of animal lovers in Lincolnville. This occasion caused me to look up the whole state of Maine ACOs and what they have. Some towns have two. They have two. They have like one and a substitute, because you got to consider someone's going to get sick. They're going to go on vacation. You got to have a vacation. So you need like 1.5 people to handle. Lincolnville's a big town. The woman that's doing our area is doing 6 other cities. 6. So she's doing 7. They range from Swanville down to Union. And that, to me, is just an inordinate amount of land. You can't do a good job if you've got that, you know, bigger territory. There's only one other ACO in Maine that has 5 or 6 towns. But a lot of them have their own, and they have 2. So I didn't know, you know, here's the problem. I don't know if other people in Lincolnville even know about this. I didn't find out until the Tanglewood cat. But maybe people don't know that she's handling 7 towns. I spoke to David about what they pay them, and I guess it comes in just short of $5,000 a year for the ACO job. So maybe that's why she has 7 of them. Gives her an income, but I just don't think that the animals are getting what they need out of it. I didn't even know this person's name. I guess it's Heidi Blood, and you know, I don't know the woman, so I don't have anything personally against her. I just think she got way too big an area to handle. And there's been other incidents, I guess, that, you know, she was unavailable to come and handle the problem. So I guess I want some information from you people as to, you know, what exactly is the mission of the ACO? How do we get some information out to the people to let them know that we need an ACO? You know, if you don't know that there's a job opening, you can't apply for it. To let them know that, well, find out, maybe a referendum vote. I'm just kicking things around. We got a voting coming up. I don't know if it's too late to put a referendum on there to see if people want, you know, their own ACO for Lincolnville. Or maybe, I don't know, work with it, Lincolnville and Hope, or something like that. I just want to bring the issue out. I was very upset about that cat dying, and oh, and then she said, just take the carcass and throw it in the woods. Again, if that animal had something that's bad for us humans, I think we ought to know about it. So that's basically what I came down for, is the animals, and to see if other people felt the way I do, and if anything can be done. You know, what can be done? Does anyone have anything to add to it, or agree with me, or disagree? Or?
Well, certainly, thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. We haven't had a chance to talk amongst ourselves about something like this, and I'm sure that we can in the near future, and get back to you with what might be available to get this out to the voters.
Yeah, so I don't know how, a Lincolnville bulletin board is all I can think of, that like it's Lincolnville, but outside of a mailing or something like that.
Yeah.
Just to let people know about it, because I think, you know, if we don't, they don't know, they don't know.
David, is there anything that you'd like to add, or do we just want to kind of move on, take it on advisement, and maybe have that as a topic for one of our future meetings?
Sure. I mean, well, a couple of things. Obviously, the ACO budget and services are up for debate annually at town meeting, so we can certainly encourage somebody to come to town meeting. And if there is a problem or challenge, we all want to know about it. Heidi wants to know about it. I mean, Heidi's trying to do a good job. It's a very part-time job, although you're, as Sharon said, you're 24/7, 365. And I know some of us, Dave Barrows and I, have been on the receiving end of being, lack of a better word, interim ACOs at times when we didn't have one. After, I guess it was after the police and before Heidi.
Between the police department and the ACO.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're always trying to match services with what people are willing to pay, for sure. It'd be great to have an alternate or a deputy. I mean, she's just like everybody else, you know. She has times where she's not available, whether recently has had some health challenges, as Sharon alluded to, and hasn't always been available, and we've wallowed through it. But oftentimes there is also more to the story than any of us know, that you either read on the bulletin board or talk to people. So we certainly could have a discussion with Heidi about situation.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I
Again,
wasn't so much wanting to crucify Heidi. Like I said, she's got 7 towns.
Yeah.
And you just, I couldn't do justice to all the towns if I had 7. So I don't want to personally go after this person and, oh, she's terrible, because she might be, you know, salt of the earth.
Yeah.
She's got too much property to handle. It's way too much. And I think if people knew that, they'd go, oh my God, 7 towns, you can't do that. And it would get people thinking and think that, you know, it'd be nice we had our own right here. I think there's a lot of animal lovers here.
No doubt.
And they're not just pet, you know, wildlife, animals, birds, the things we live with here. So, anyway, that's what I had to say.
thank you very much.
Thanks for
Yep.
coming in.
Do I watch the bulletin board to see if you're gonna bring this up and come to another meeting, or?
I think we can give you a heads up that we're gonna have a discussion.
Should I get Carl and Sand in that and get them?
Bring any and all that are interested in the situation.
Okay, should we do it in 2 weeks, or?
Well, it won't be 2 weeks, cause we don't have another meeting for 3, but,
Yeah,
probably ought to touch base with Heidi and see a little bit more about her so she can educate everybody as
Yeah.
to what the ACO's roles are and duties are. I mean, we have a job description and whatnot in the state statute, but it's good to hear right from the,
it's good to hear how she understands it, and then
Yeah.
we'll go from there. See if we can't get it on our agenda at the earliest time frame.
Yeah, yeah.
I would recommend, there usually is an announcement on the bulletin board, I think, of the agenda, isn't there, or no?
no,
No.
we've got on our website the
It's on our
ability,
website.
the ability to sign up to get the agendas sent
Yeah.
right directly to you.
I would
so-
recommend that you do that, if
Check
you
the
have,
town website.
the town website, and sign up to get a copy sent to you every time we have a meeting, and you actually will get the agenda.
Excellent.
It tells us tells the townspeople what we're doing and what we're gonna discuss.
I'm glad I came down.
And also familiarize yourself with the process if you want to come in and address the select board. If you come in and you're on the agenda, that's one thing, but if there are 3 or 4 other people with you and they're not on the agenda, sometimes it's tough to let them come up and state their case, okay? So just, if you've got things that you would like to get out there and there's other people to support what you've got going on, then they really should be on the agenda as well,
Okay,
okay?
so, for the next 2 weeks, get some people together and we'll have a meeting.
Well, I would,
I'll check the town website.
yeah,
You're
look,
saying
check the town website and get yourself on the mailing list,
Okay,
for the agenda, and look for that,
excellent.
okay?
I thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay
Thanks,
warm,
Sharon.
everybody.
Anyone else for a citizens forum? Don't all rush to the podium. I think we're all set with that. We'll move on to the second item on the agenda, the administrator's report.
That first conversation was a good lead into this next one. Dog licensing, if you own a dog that's older than 6 months, Melissa's shaking her head, yes. Has to be licensed by the end of the year. You have to have rabies up to date. There are a couple of rabies clinics that are going on. I sent something up to the bulletin board on a couple of those. There isn't ones currently scheduled for Lincolnville, but there are some free rabies clinics you can take your dog to get a rabies shot if you reside in Waldo County. But we'll be reminding people of their responsibilities as dog owners to license their dogs. Please license your dog for the year end, or you'll get a nice little reminder from the ACO that you need to do that. It's also a good time to remind people that winter is coming. Good chance to check your mailbox. If you have a snow plowing contractor, try to give them some guidance so they don't plow snow over culvert ends and that type of thing, so that if it rains in the middle of winter, they're not plugged and washing out the roads or your driveway. And absentee voting is available for people that wish to between now and Election Day. Prior to, let's see, on Friday prior to Election Day, people have to fill out a special circumstances application, but it's still available. Otherwise than that, the usual stuff is going on. We are doing a lot of behind the scenes things in preparation for Election Day, and we are getting inundated with absentee ballot requests. So,
Okay, thank you, David. And
Yep.
while you're right there, meetings and announcements. Next item on the agenda.
all meetings are here at the town office unless announced otherwise. The Recreation Commission is scheduled to meet Tuesday, October 23rd, 6 p.m. Lakes and Ponds Committee, Tuesday, October 23rd, 7 p.m. Midcoast Solid Waste Corporation Board of Directors meeting Wednesday, October 24th, 7 p.m. at the Camden Town Office. Board of Appeals meets Thursday, October 25th, 5 p.m. Planning Board, Wednesday, October 31st, 7 p.m. School Committee meets Monday, November 5th, 7 p.m. in room C1 at Lincolnville Central School. Election Day and voting is Tuesday, November 6th, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the gymnasium of the school. Cemetery Trustees meeting Thursday, November 8th, 6:30. Town office will be closed in observance of Veterans Day on Monday, November 12th. And the Board of Selectmen meet next on Tuesday, November 13th, 6 p.m.
Got a lot going on here in town, don't we?
We do.
With our town government. Thank you, David. And upcoming community events.
One on your agenda is the Lincolnville Sewer District Trustees meeting is Tuesday, October 30th, 6:15 p.m. at the LIA building, 33 Beach Road.
Does anybody have anything else that may have been omitted from that list?
I just want to give a little recap on what happened with the roadside cleanup. It was very successful. We had 30 volunteers who came out to help pick up trash along the roadsides over 2 days, and we picked up a total of 780 pounds of trash.
All right, that's good.
Very good.
Excited to
Very
do it
good.
again next year.
Perfect. That's
I
good.
hope you get nothing next year.
Me too.
Thank you, Josh. Okay, next item on the agenda, we need to approve or not approve the meeting minutes of the meeting on October 9th, 2018.
I move that the board approve the October 9th, 2018 meeting minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Motion's been seconded. Is there any discussion? No? All those in favor? Motion passed. 3-0. Next item on the agenda, discussion concerning possible future acquisition of solar array.
So at the end of 2016, or near the end of 2016, the town meeting approved a power purchase agreement that allowed for the installation of the solar array at the fire station site. The agreement allows for the town, beginning on the 6th anniversary of the agreement, or the commencement of electricity generation, I guess, to possibly purchase, if we wanted to, the array at fair market value. And the suggestion was made to me, and it's a good one, that perhaps we would like to explore what that cost might be, so that we could do some long-range planning, so that if it was something that looked like it would be in the town's benefit, and it's something we might want to do, we might want to consider budgeting for it a little bit for the next 5 years, rather than one lump sum in year 6. Or at least we'd have some knowledge and information as to what that cost might be. And so, rather than jump in with both feet and write a charge without having some discussion amongst the board whether they thought it was worthwhile.
Thank
It's
you.
on your agenda.
Thank you, David.
And I think, and not to continue on babbling here, but I know that there are at least some members of the former energy team that assisted with the original installation that are interested in helping if that's something the town would like to do.
Okay, that's good information. Do I have a motion?
I move that the board instruct the town administrator to prepare for our consideration a committee charge to explore the pros, cons, and costs of the town exercising its option to purchase the solar array.
So moved.
Second.
Move has been seconded. Any discussion?
I think this is a great idea. This, when the town voted to have this solar array, this was always in my mind the next step, that we would plan for this a few years out, and weigh the pros and cons of buying it.
I to be real honest with you, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I thought that this would definitely be the next step. Sooner the better.
I agree 100%. We need somebody to look at it and find out at what point in time is our best financial and business time to do this. I think we need to purchase it sometime, but are we better off to buy it now for as soon as it's available, or wait halfway through its midterm? It'll cost less and it won't be as good a system either at that point, where the financial advantages are.
Yeah, finding that perfect point to purchase it is key.
David, how many people do, let's see, talk to one of the energy team members? Should it be more than that?
Well, I know that I talked to Cindy Cindy Dunham, and she had already talked to a number of them, but thought it best to talk to us first, and before they got, too much excitement, and then had you guys saying, "No, we don't want to do that."
Okay,
I didn't think that was going to happen, but
yeah, with the way that they did that, and
Yeah.
it became a reality, I just think it would be great to have a number of them working on that. That's great. With that being said, if there's nothing else to discuss, all those in favor? Motion passed.
got it.
Next item on the agenda, review of inland waterway mooring ordinance draft charge.
I move that the board approve and sign the charge creating an ad hoc inland waterway mooring committee.
Second.
So, motion has passed. Any discussion?
One thing, let's see, under timeline, I think this sentence needs to be reworked just a little bit.
Under timeline?
Yeah. It says an extension of the moratorium can only, it's just a few misspelling, so I think it should read, an extension of the moratorium can only be made if reasonable progress is being made to alleviate the problem. Something like that.
Okay.
Wow.
Just a few extra words.
Who typed that?
Just a little adjustment. And then I also wanted to ask the board how you two feel about, under membership, we have a member of the Lakes and Ponds that owns property abutting an inland waterway, and a member of Lakes and Ponds that does not own property. And I don't actually know if there are members on there that don't own property abutting an inland waterway. If that's the case, do we think it's important to have someone who does and doesn't own property abutting a waterway from Lakes and Ponds? Because to me,
Well, your person, quite possibly, that doesn't own abutting property might have a boat that they enjoy speak to the safety part of it and how small our area actually is down there and in other areas. I'm just trying to throw that out there because that would be a person that would have a vested interest, but yet not have property to have a boat sitting out in front of a camp.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't have a preference, but I don't think Gary Glazian, who's the chair of the Lakes and Ponds, is a waterfront property owner.
Does he only camp on Pitcher Pond?
Oh, I don't know. And then the other one, I don't know how active he is, but Sandy Lyle was on there for a while. I don't know if he owns, I know where his house is, but I was just trying to, and again, this is your charge, so create it any way you want. I was trying to find kind of a balance between, I hate to use the word competing interests, but different perspectives out there. And I knew the Lakes and Ponds would be, this is kind of their bailiwick a little bit.
Any other discussion?
Is this a large enough group? Do we feel like 5 is enough to get sort of a diverse perspective? I almost like the idea of having 2 members from Lakes and Ponds, 2 from the Rec Commission, 2 from the Land Use. I'm just spitballing here. I haven't really thought this through that carefully, but it seems like maybe with more than 5 people, we would get more diverse views, which would be helpful. And I do like that there's a member of the public with a voting interest as well as part of this.
And if we doubled that, you'd have 2 members of the public?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't double up one without doubling the rest of them up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we can get that many people?
I don't know.
I mean, we're struggling.
Right.
Yeah. David, what do you think?
I'd be in favor of having more people, but I wonder if you get them.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to get 5 and have a full board rather than ask for 7 and have a board that's 2/3 full. I mean, nothing against anybody, but everybody's busy, and having sat on 4 different committees at the same time before in my previous times doing things, it runs together pretty fast. The more things you get tied onto.
Mm-hmm.
The other opportunity you have, none of this is, in a tablet form, it's not chiseled in there. If you approve something and we let the public and these committees know that we want somebody, if you're inundated with, good qualified people that want to do the work and you want to revise the charge from 5 to 7 to 9 or something like that, it's certainly doable. If you just, pick how many other people you want to try, but certainly you can alter or amend this at your will, at your pleasure, at any time.
I think that when Lakes and Ponds Committee first started up, I was in on the original forming of it. I think we had 15 members, 15 to 20, somewhere in that neighborhood, and we stayed that way for 4 or 5 meetings, and then it cut down. And I think they all, whether they all were legally voting or not, they were all listened to and voted on as a group. And it was more than just Lincolnville, because we had Belmont and we had Northport and somebody else in there. Searsmont. Yeah.
And maybe,
Yeah, that's right.
maybe Camden and Hope, at least we
Camden,
extended an
Hope,
invitation.
Yep.
That was a big, still could be a
Yep.
potentially
So
big
I
committee.
mean, if more people show up, we could always change the number.
Where, now, I just got thinking about this, where we share some, bodies of water with Camden, and I think there's one in Hope.
Northport.
or
Gonna go-
Northport.
Is in Hope also.
Okay, so
It's
should
got
we
a
ever?
half-mile shore.
Would we be well served to have a representative from each town?
If somebody
It's
would
gonna
come,
affect them.
we should send to their select boards a wish that we're forming this committee and
Yeah,
ask them to, if they so choose, to send a representative.
Yeah, I think that's
Is
a good
that, is
idea.
that a legal thing
that
to
gives
do?
you,
Well, you certainly can do that. The way that's set up currently is to reach out to them to seek information about what they're doing. We all know that Camden's in the process. Now, our regulations, if we so chose, could be substantially different than what
Right,
Northport's gonna do on the other side of Pitcher Pond.
Mhm.
But this can be anything you want it to be. It's your,
I would like to be able to consider input from the towns that we share the bodies of water from.
Absolutely.
So I think, and that would give you extra, may not, give you too many extra, but that actually increases your committee size. So, and in theory, that would bring, additional town ideas, Camden, Hope, Northport,
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah,
You
which
know
I think
what
is,
mean? So if we could make that change, I think.
do we, so, we share water bodies with Camden, Hope, and Northport, is that correct?
Belmont,
Belmont? Is there
and
anyone else?
Searsmont.
Searsmont,
Not Belmont,
Belmont.
Searsmont.
not Belmont, do we?
No? Oh, well, I don't know. No, probably not actually. Well, the headwaters of, Pitcher coming into that comes out of Belmont, but
Mhm.
the pond isn't in it. Pond's just in Lincolnville and Northport, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so no Belmont. The waterway,
Yeah, certainly the headwaters of the duck trap start up there. But you can invite Belmont if you want, your choice.
Is there any more discussion on that?
So, how would that work? Would we ask the select boards of each town if they wanna send a representative?
Yeah, I think for the
Yeah.
lakes and ponds, when we did that, once the charge was approved, I don't remember if the chair did it or I did it, sent a copy to each of the respective select boards from those towns and said, we're doing this, and if you wanna appoint a representative, let us know who that is. And
I mean, we just give them the option. If they don't, then
Yeah.
they,
That's fine.
Okay, so if there's no more discussion, we'll take a vote. All those in favor? Motion passed. Next item on the agenda, application for pole location, Thurlow Road, by Central Maine Power.
This is just simply, they're in our right of way and they need a utility location permit from the town for new poles. And this is actually on an existing line. It's gonna be kind of a mid-span pole, cause somebody's building a new house, so they need to have a place for a transformer and whatever else. And, Conservation Commission representative looked at it with regard to tree issues and said it was okay and doesn't interfere with anything else, so I think it's okay.
Okay. All we need is a motion.
I move that the board approve and sign the location permit, CMP job number 10300496187 for a new pole to be located adjacent to the Thurlow Road.
So moved.
second.
Motion has been seconded. Any discussion on that? We're all set? All those in favor? Motion passed. Next Next item on the agenda, application to Burn Justice Assistant Grant Program.
So this is a little bit of a holdover from when we had law enforcement services. We have a earmark grant for the town of Lincolnville for approximately $900 for law enforcement. And the last time we had more money available to us, we bought the radar speed board. And if you can come up with a reasonable thing that we can purchase and convince them that town administrators and office staff can do, they'll give us the money. Otherwise, if we want, we can designate or delegate those funds to another law enforcement agency that covers the community, like Waldo County Sheriff's Office.
I am wondering, what's the current, how is our current radar speed sign being utilized? Where is that currently, for example?
Right now, it's in the hallway, halfway between the office and my office.
Okay.
Front office and mine. Periodically, it gets chunked around town, put up on the sign. The end of the day, on my way home, I go grab it because I really don't want to leave it out overnight, even though we do insure it. Just maybe too much of a temptation. If somebody calls and says, "Hey, I got a problem on my street," I try to get it out there a little quicker than I do otherwise. But it's here.
Do you think we could use two?
I know that at times one is too many. It's not too many, it's just there are, the priorities of, takes you 45 minutes to go, by the time you leave here with it,
Yeah.
take it somewhere, set it up and come back and then go get it, and hours in the day and days in the week. Doesn't move as much as it possibly could. That said, the second one you could put up quicker because you're already out. But the last, I can't remember what we spent on the last one. I think our last grant was a little over 2,000. I think the thing cost us about 3,500 or 4,000. We kicked in the rest.
I think about the number one complaints I hear from people is speeding in our town. I mean, it's like a portable police officer, or in some sense. But I understand, I mean, you only have so many hours in the day, so driving around, moving a speed sign is not the most efficient use of your time.
I could teach one of the ladies how to put it up. Might not be the most efficient use of their time either.
They will educate you on how to help them. So the other example would be to divert that to Waldo County Sheriff's Department. Do we have the option of requesting how that would be used at the?
We certainly have the option to request. I think they have certain programs that if they had $900 is more than I have in my pocket ever, but it's not a tremendous amount of money when you're out buying stuff or doing things. But if you had something in mind, we certainly could ask them, if we gave this to you, would you use it for this? Or what would you use it for if we just gave it?
Yeah.
I would recommend they spend it all on Narcan. It's the top thing that comes to mind in terms of they don't seem to, no sheriff's department or police department in Maine seems to have enough of that.
What do you think, David?
I don't have any.
Do we need to make a decision on this tonight, David? Do we need?
No,
I don't want
but
to lose it.
I don't know if a decision needs to be made. Chief Deputy Trundy contacted me and said it was available to us, and I told him I'd put it on the next agenda, which is now, obviously, to have some discussion. And we didn't have a conversation about when it would be
Okay.
not available to us.
I think it's best we all go home and mull this over.
Okay.
You want me to ask the county what they might use it for if
If we were to donate this to the county, what would
without
we-
any strings, what they'd use it for, and if we put some strings on it, would they follow those? Or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
I would just like to know how we would benefit for, how the town of Lincolnville, not just we, but the town of Lincolnville would benefit if we were to just direct that to them.
And then you mentioned here that we do certainly need pedestrian crosswalk signage.
Yeah, I don't know if this would qualify, if signage would qualify for this or not. And maybe I could ask them to reach out to the people at the Burn Jag grant program and ask. Seems like that might be a little bit more of a stretch. That more like, I mean, it's public safety related, but it's not really. But I don't know. I mean, we could ask. I'll ask that question.
Could we use, and I guess I wonder if we could use that to put an officer in the school for, I mean, just to go in and just have a presence, go in and talk, just, speak to the
Yeah.
kids in the morning, maybe a couple times a
Yeah,
month
well, I
or-
mean, certainly, the list that I got of what they, did statewide with this, the last time there were some community education
Yeah.
programs, so,
Okay.
maybe there's some, I don't know, bullying program or some say no to drug program or something that could be done in the school.
Certainly.
I'll
That'd be
ask,
good.
I'll ask Paul if that works into schools.
Okay, if we don't need a motion on that, I think we'll move along.
Great.
Item number 10, treasurers and payroll warrants,
And you
approve
also-
and sign.
You also have
What do we have?
that black notebook on the top of those two to your left is what?
Coombs Griffin.
Coombs Griffin.
Yeah. Okay, and the Coombs Griffin. We need a motion?
I move that the board approve the treasurer's and payroll warrants and the Coombs Griffin warrant.
So moved.
Second?
Motion's been seconded. Any discussion?
Oh, can I see the Coombs Griffin?
No. This is a blind thing. Is this it?
Yep.
I think so, yeah.
This one right here?
Not that we can say no. See what we're signing here.
Yeah.
Looks good to me.
Okay. What was that last one?
Corja. Oh, control system.
Huh. Okay. No more discussion? Did you wanna look at that before we, no? No more discussion? All those in favor? Motion passed. What are you looking at, David? What's the matter?
I'll tell you later.
Okay. Okay, we've disposed of everything on the agenda and have come to executive session pursuant to Title I MRSA, Section 405, 6C, to discuss the possible acquisition of real property where premature disclosure of information would prejudice the competitive bargaining position of the town. So, I need a motion.
I move that the Board of Selectmen enter into executive session for purpose of discussion of consideration of the acquisition of real property pursuant to Title I MRSA Section 405(6)(c).
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor? Motion passed. We will go into executive session.
Pass the poll permit thing, if you could sign it where it says bye.